Yesterday, I talked about how people pleasing was harmful in some of my friendships, co working relationships with my bosses, and how I've recognized that it didn't always help me. It wasn't always good to be a people pleaser and to sugarcoat things. And today, I want to talk about how how it helped me stay safe, how it helped me survive, um, how I learned from a young age that people pleasing was what I needed to do to, feel safe and feel like I could be in a room without being yelled at or be in a room without being picked on. And And as that skill, that survival technique developed over the years, I was able to use it in a lot of very incredible situations. And again, not purposefully, not like I didn't realize I was people pleasing. It was just how I functioned and how I operated. And when I really got more and more into hospitality, I realized looking back now that people pleasing was actually kind of a superpower. And so, it's one of those things that has like a dark side and a light side. And the dark side of it was me people pleasing to stay relevant, to stay small, palatable, to not make anyone mad, to make sure I didn't, get fired. Or I really think that was just more in my head than actual being fired. But, it's just one of those things where worst case scenarios pop in and it's like, oh, I don't want to tell my boss that them yelling at people is not okay, and because they might fire me. It was a scary, I learned that like anger was scary. I learned that, when people are yelling, it's scary. And so to stay safe, I got to change the energy in the room. I got to stay small and quiet, or I need to be funny. I need to change the subject. I came very versatile and chameleoned and camouflaged and all the things to stay safe. And when I say in a way, it became my superpower, is because when you're working in hospitality, reading those mood changes and those energy changes and being able to, as a server, like walk up to a table and you can feel the tension or whatever, and being able to turn the conversation, turn the attention to say me or to say something else, or just like you can tell they're all wearing like football jerseys. So then hey, did you see the game last weekend or whatever, and being able to read situations, read environments, it it became my superpower. And reading rooms and being able to have conversations on all sorts of different levels with all sorts of different people. Like I said, I kind of chameleoned, because I learned at a young age that was how I stayed safe. And it really helped me when I was in rooms with, politicians, or in rooms with ultra high net worth people and serving them and being asked questions about scuba diving and things like that, and being able to carry on a conversation. Yes, because I have the knowledge, but also because I could read the energy. I could read the shift in the mood and in their emotions and their reactions. Were they leaning in? Were they interested? Were they leaning out? And like, I don't want to talk to this girl anymore. And like recognizing when like, oh, okay, they're done with me, and being able to like peace out without it being awkward or weird. And knowing when to joke with people, knowing when not to joke with people, knowing when to offer, because some people are very particular, and they want a certain kind of wine from a certain year, and it has to be this year, and not having it, and being able to have a conversation and really get to know them in a way that you can offer a different wine from a different year and they love it. And yet every other person in the room has offered them different wines for years and they've hated every single one of them. But for whatever reason, the way I suggested it was just like, and it wasn't, half the time it wasn't a different wine than everyone else suggested. It was just the way I could read the emotions, read how they were feeling in that moment, and being able to be like, maybe you feeling a little spicy today? You want to try something new from a different year, maybe? And again, I didn't do any of this out of, like growing up and thinking like, oh, I'm going to get really good at surviving by people pleasing. That wasn't a goal. It was just what my body and my mind learned to do in situations. And as I grew up, it just morphed into this ability to really like manage emotions, manage rooms. I hate the word manage, but just being able to recognize what's happening and knowing how to shift it and how to change it. And so it really did morph into my later years, and especially in hospitality, into this superpower. And so yesterday, talking about how it kind of worked in my detriment in certain relationships and certain friendships, there's other parts that it worked in my favor, and it really helped me in a lot of situations. And I think right now I'm trying to recognize that person that I've become and that survival technique and that survival mechanism, and use it for good, use it for those situations in hospitality where it comes in handy and it's my superpower, and also recognize when it's becoming the dark side, when I feel like that pull to sugarcoat something, or I'm feeling that need to like stay small, withdraw, not say my opinion. And those are the moments that I need to, that's the dark side of it, is the moments I want to bring into the light and really just change that part of my identity. And I know because I grew up with it as this like survival mechanism, that it took me a long time to identify in both the good and the bad ways. It took me a long time to identify that that's why relationships or friendships or working environments or things like weren't always working in my favor, because I was playing too small and trying to be palatable. And when I think of it in my working environments and in hospitality, and really being able to like work a room and have conversations with people from all different walks of life, and yeah, recognize emotions and help alchemize and change that energy into something else. It's like I've finally kind of unlocked that door of, okay, let's not use this as a survival mechanism. Let's use this now as like a becoming and a blossoming into the next version of myself. And I have to turn the camera around because this is gorgeous. Oh my God. I think I'll just put that in the background. I should have had it this way this whole time. Actually, it just like turned this color, so it's perfect. But yeah, I would love to hear from you in the comments. What has been your survival technique? You know, your survival mechanism. I think for some people it's anger and confrontation, and I was so the opposite. I was, you know, when you talk about fight, flight, freeze, and fawn, I'm like basically all of them except fight. I think fight is my least used survival technique, and yeah, it's just interesting to look back on so many situations where I would freeze and then I would want to run away, but I couldn't because I was, you know, the server or the the person like leading the team on the floor of the restaurant, and then turning to fawn, you know, to make things better. And so it's interesting how a lot of those all play together, you know, and I think sometimes recognizing that not everyone is just one. Some people are first they fight and then they flight, they run away, and then they get far away and then they freeze, you know. But yeah, fawning has been just been around my whole life. Like, I honestly, as a little girl, I don't remember ever really being that fighter. I wanted to be. There were so many times like the anger would just bubble up and just come to the surface, and I would just swallow it down, change the mood, and fun, and just try to bring everyone back to copacetic nature. And yeah, it's interesting how much our bodies take on too with all of that, our bodies and our minds. It's almost like sometimes you're working overtime, because I notice when I walk in a room, I'm not just assessing the person in front of me that I'm meeting. It's like I'm assessing the entire room, and it's wild just as I'm getting older and learning these things about myself. So I'm curious in the comments, which are you? Are you fight? Are you yeah, like if confrontation comes, are you the one that fights someone? Or you're the one starting the confrontation? Are you flight? Do you run away at the first sign of confrontation? Do you freeze? Like, I don't know what to say or do, and just kind of melt into the background? Or do you fawn? Or a combination of a few of those? I'm curious. In the comments, let me know. And I hope hearing this side of it, this like recognizing that there are sides to fawning that can be a superpower, as long as, you know, you're aware of it and really know, really aware of it, and not using it as a survival technique, but using it as like, hey, I know how to do this. I know how to manage some things, manage a room. So yeah, thank you so much for being here today. I'm curious if I should just let us enjoy this for a minute. Yeah, I'll just keep the camera rolling. Just never gets old. Those colors just never get old. All right. That's my story for today. Thank you so much for being here. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Katie, and I make videos every single day. Hopefully they help you get through some of the realizations and things you're moving through. And I'll see you tomorrow.